Nicole here. I'm kind of in a challenging mood. I don't feel like anyone knows who I am out of the people in my life. I think my mom sort of does, maybe the closest, but I don't think any of my friends know who I am. Um, it's not their fault. I think it's not quite my fault either. Um, but yeah, I feel lonely because like part of the reason is because this community or this place is not set up to foster healthy communities. That's a problem. We also are set up to not be able to express ourselves, like with like wokeness being one of the factors at play, where it's like you can't express your doubt of certain things or else you'll be labeled a racist or a homophobic or a transphobic or whatever it is. So like ideas in universities, which is like supposed to be this playground of discussing ideas, has become so muted. It seems like universities have lost like the color of life. That's just my perception right now, considering I'm in a bad mood. Um, and I feel like we can't even wear color. Like, I go out, I know I'm a little bit like probably, I'm not looking for validation in who I actually am. I'm just lonely. And, anyways, what I'm saying is that I wear beautiful outfits that are full of color when, like, we're moving in a direction, and we have been for a long time, of adults not wearing any color, right? It's beige, it's black, it's neutrals. Uh, you can still serve a really good look with basic nudes and all that stuff, but I like color. My favorite color is orange. Anyways, I love color. I like wearing color. I find that like other people look at me sometimes when I go out, and um I do get attention mostly from men who are 50 years and older, saying that I'm beautiful to me. But of course, I don't want to marry a 50-year-old. And well, they're even older than that, like 60 and up. And um, everyone else just kind of doesn't talk to me. My friends, I have a friend group who I feel really unsupported by, and I've been pulling away from them for a long time, but I guess I could try and be open with them and tell them that I feel this way, but I don't know how you tell a friend group, hey, like, I feel like you guys don't like me. Like, they look at me, sometimes they even roll their eyes. When I was in midwifery, a group of girls at the back rolled their eyes at me at everything I said and did. Um, in elementary school and high school, I wasn't bullied. Certainly people said things to me that were mean, uh, but I would just say something mean back. I wasn't like, no, there wasn't really bullying happening. But in midwifery, at that point, I would call it bullying. I definitely would. The time I dismissed it, and I was like, well, I'm not here to make friends, so who cares if they're rolling their eyes at me? They're not my boss, they're not the professor. But then I saw how, like, actually it's so pervasive in midwifery that, like, you can't freely express anything, and it's very woke. Um, and with all this confusion about gender identity, it's interesting for me who, I've lived in a male dominated career, I've lived in a female dominated career, and to see the differences between those two. I'll tell you that from my perspective, what I've seen and noticed is men tend to be a lot more direct than women. Um, and I think I tend to be pretty direct as well. Um, like, I don't know, I float between the two. Like, I float between the two, but like, in midwifery, I think that like the same things that made me thrive in engineering were completely rejected and bullied in midwifery. And I kind of think that speaks like a lot of people, a lot of women online are complaining about men all the time. There's a lot of back and forth on that. is not useful, it's not helpful, it's not healthy for this world. Which is why I posted that video saying I really, really, really like men. It's a response to what I'm seeing in media. And it's not helpful to be like, oh, men are the problem, when, like, and then there's all these songs about it too, like, just hating on men, like all this artwork, which I find heinous because art is something that I do consider to be sacred. And so it's like a lot of art is channeled from spiritual realms, and it's self-expression. So I wouldn't stifle anyone's self-expression. If you want to make a song talking about all the faults of men, then yeah, that's what you need to express. That's part of like what you need to do for yourself to explore your own development and life, then that's fine. But like the amount of media that just is there is really bad. And then, but it's also true that women aren't well supported in this world. And I think that's true. I mean, I think that's part of what I'm going through now. I think that I had to rely on my masculine side to get things that I needed. So like receptive energies, which is like a more feminine energy. I don't know, like I just don't feel protected. Like I don't feel safe in this world. And I'm alone. And I've been alone for a long time. To be honest, I like to be alone with my thoughts, and when I do go to parties, I do like to go off by myself. But like to be able to share like these type of thoughts, not just with strangers on the internet who can't respond to me, but with a friend, a male friend, like a male counterpart. I try and think about like, so I understand what like how a man can benefit me, so then can I like look at how a woman like me can benefit a man in a relationship? And this isn't me trying to convince anyone to date me, I just want to go down this thought path. Like, what do women provide to men? Because a lot of women are just like, it's just sex. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's just sex. Like, obviously there are biological reasons why men are motivated from like an instinctual biological perspective to spread their seed. But I don't think that my value is just in the sex. So like, yeah, having great sex with a committed partner, I mean, I want that too. So what else is there? I don't know. Like providing roots to a man? I don't know. I don't know. I wish I did. Like, how is it that I'm confused about my own value in society? But I am. What do I provide to this world? Of course, my identity is made up of way more than just me being a woman. It is me being an adult, me being whatever my job is at the time, whether it's a nanny, a midwife, or an engineer. My favorite of those was, of course, being a nanny. My least favorite was being a midwife, because it was such a toxic environment. And I think one of the reasons is because women don't understand their own value in society. And I mean, I'm not playing the blame, I don't want to play the blame game here, but I think it is because women aren't really protected in society very well. And whether it's like very small minorities, the needs of very small minorities being put over women, like some women have been sexually assaulted and are really scared when they see a trans person using a female washroom, and they can see that that person is a lot stronger than they are, and if they wanted to, they could hurt them. So it is like, I wonder why I don't understand my own value in society, even though I'm an engineer, even though I have a university degree, even though I work really hard, even though I'm a good person, quote unquote good, whatever that means. I mean, good and bad don't really have meanings, but I'm a person who cares about our world. I care about the well-being of everyone. This is also another kind of paradox. I am very selfish. This is part of my shadow work. I'm incredibly selfish. I can be very outwardly selfish. But I think that this is mostly true. Probably always true, but I can't say. But I think that deep inside of me, I actually do really care about the well-being of everyone, because I know deeply that if you're not doing well, it's not good for me either. Okay? So it's really not good to have like huge poverty gaps where you have like a lot of people who are living in poverty and then a select few who are rich. I shouldn't say select few, but because that kind of makes it sound like I don't know, like somebody selected the people who are going to be rich versus poor. It's more complicated than that. But it is not good. Like, that's not sustainable. So I know that like I really want my own personal safety, and I care about your personal safety and well-being too, deeply within. But I'm definitely outwardly very selfish. I am a selfish, very, very selfish person in general. Well, I mean, can I give an example of how I've been selfish? I care about my own happiness and in the moment, and I care about my own peace, like in any given moment more. I will work with other people and cooperate, of course, but I don't know, like what brings me to do things that are less selfish is like just my own ethics, which again comes from me. So I don't know how to describe it. It's not like I'm gonna make sure everyone has a slice of cake. Like at a birthday party, I will pay attention. So there are definitely parts of me that are not selfish at all. Maybe I'm just too hard on myself. But yeah, I don't feel like there's a lot of I just don't feel like I understand my own value in this society. This isn't me looking for answers or compliments or anything like that. I actually don't want that. I just want to put the point out there that I don't feel like I understand what I can provide to a man. Like, yes, I might be pretty. Yeah, you can have sex with me and we can make babies, and but it seems to me at this point in my life that if I was to get pregnant not being in a committed relationship, it's really on me to raise that child by myself, which would be almost impossible. Probably it would. My parents are very, very old. They had me late in the game, so they're not. It's at the point where I'm taking care of my parents. And so I don't, it's not like I could just get my mom to take care of my baby for me, which I wouldn't really want to do. I want to have that joy for myself. So if I really, really want to have a baby, then I definitely need to find a committed relationship. But it's been really long. It's been a really long time. It's been years. And I don't feel in my healing journey that I'm necessarily closer. I fell in love with somebody and I wasted a lot of time. I'm still in love with that person, but like only their potential of, what do I know? What do I actually know about that person? So somehow I need to do some more work about that and fix that. I need to fix that, and it's not like our mental health, our healthcare system has been crumbling for a long time. Can you go and find a therapist if you needed one? And even if you did find a therapist, they sit there and listen to you and then charge you $200 an hour to listen to you for an hour? Can I not just have a friend do it for free? Like, I could just talk to YouTube for an hour. There, therapy free. I'm talking to myself, and actually I think this is a form of therapy for me. So there you go. I don't think that we have mental health supports. And then drugs. Drugs is the first response to any kind of illness. That is garbage. That is garbage. Drugs should always be a last resort. I would never restrict access to medication. This is, if you're taking any drugs, I'm not telling you necessarily to stop, okay? Don't take what I'm saying. I'm talking from a perspective of society, not individually, okay? So, if you're on an antidepressant, I'm not saying whether or not you should. In fact, maybe you should. Please don't take that message where it's like, oh, I need to completely get off medication. No. Medicine is very important. I'm merely saying that our society is like, you just tell your doctor you're depressed. You don't get the root cause addressed. SSRI doesn't address root causes of depression, so it just helps you keep more serotonin in your brain, which can help you. It can help you by getting your mood to uplift so that you can work on root causes. But if you have no idea how to work on root causes, or those root causes are outside of your control, such as living in a cubicle living situation where you live in a cubicle to own a cubicle that drives only to work in your cubicle, and that's what's causing a serious amount of depression because you're so isolated, well, it's going to be hard to change that. So, yeah, like, I really want to see us moving towards sustainable living. If we do that, and we pull that off, I think that people might start to feel better. I would start to feel better, I think. I hope. I don't feel good. And maybe it is a fairy tale and a pipe dream that I think that I don't really believe like getting married is going to all of a sudden snap me into being happy. I think, or like I should say, snap me into a more peaceful state. But I do think it would make it, actually I do think that. I think it would help me a lot. But I can't, who's gonna want to date me when I'm like this? Like, I can put on a fake smile. I can wear a mask for you and pretend that I'm a normal person, like zombified, like everyone else out there. I could do that. And that's what I do when I go on dates. I put on a smile, I put on makeup, and I listen to my dates, and I say clever, witty things because, even with the witty mask, like, I can still have some wit about me and make other people laugh. But the truth is that I'm unhappy. And I think it's going to be hard to build a foundation in a relationship when I'm this unhappy. And I kind of got into my idea that there's somebody who I feel like is a flip of me and is, and this person didn't treat me well at all, so I just wish, like, I don't know if you do watch these videos. I'm not mad. I've done the video soon, someone's coming. Anyways, I'm not mad at you, and there's no real, if you could just let your ego go for a little bit and talk to me. Because, yeah, I suffered. It's not all your fault. It's a combination, and I think it would be healing for both of us to have some kind of forgiveness between us. But I can't initiate that, so, because I already tried before. Like, I just can't. And then maybe all that stuff is just bullshit. I don't actually think it's bullshit at all, but there's room for error within spirituality, so maybe I'm wrong. In which case I've wasted a lot of time not healing. Or maybe this, I think everything I do, feel, think, and say is all necessary, a necessary part of my own unfolding. But I don't want to keep going through hell like this. This dark night needs to end. I want to build a sustainable future for myself. This is what I've been working on for the last 3 or 4 years, is really trying to build a sustainable foundation for myself. Really trying very hard to do that. I don't know. I made some strides. I'm paying down my student debt, but I'm not in a place where I can date somebody that I don't want to date. I'm not gonna force myself to do it. So if I miss the boat on having a child, I missed the boat, and then we'll just call that fate, and we'll just say that I was never meant to have a child at all. Because I can't just marry somebody just to have a child. I can't live that lie. I can't live that lie. So I'm confused about the value that I provide to you, and I just really want to live a sustainable, secure life, because that would make me feel safer. And if I felt safer, I think that my back wouldn't hurt, and I think I wouldn't feel sad as much as I do. And it's thundering outside. I love thunderstorms. That's the best one of the best. Well, there's a lot of really good things about summer, but thunderstorms are so great. That's what I miss in winter, because winter there aren't thunderstorms. I don't know if you've noticed, but there aren't. It has something to do with static electricity, and yeah, I can't really remember, but there's like, I try to make an effort not to sugarcoat the problems. I don't think it's useful to be like, well, this is a problem, but you need to think of a good thing. Like Pollyanna, just blatant. Like that's a zombified version of that. But I do think it's important to really focus in and turn towards the good. And there are good things that I experience on a daily basis. I'll tell you something really good. Well, it's funny. It's funny. And this will be the last thing before I end this video. I think. But I briefly went on like 5 or 6 dates with this guy, even though I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out. But like, but like he asked me, and he was so direct, and like I was like, well, like I'll give it a shot. But he was super Catholic, the type of person where he only interacts with people from his own community. And I was just like this newcomer, and there's not a lot of single women in that community at all. So if he's not unwilling to leave his community to search for a partner, he might be waiting a long time there. And so I happened to show up only because my friend was part of it, and I wanted to include her in my life and keep her in my life. And since she's becoming ever more, she's kind of setting up her life in a way where it's like she only interacts with this community as well. So if I want to hang out with her, I'm going to have to attend these events. But I'm not Catholic. I don't believe in a lot of stuff they believe. Yeah, but I still want to be friends with my friend, so I'm still going to, yeah, I will go to these events, like doing mission trips where we go to give food to homeless people and other stuff like that. So I went to a picnic the other day, and it had been a couple months since I'd seen this guy. And I told him, I said, we can't continue dating, seeing each other, because I'm not Catholic. I'm never going to be Catholic. And he, at first, like I told him that right from the get-go when he first asked me out. And he said it was fine because he thought that I was a deep thinker. And then like every single date, he just progressively pushed me to do Catholic things with him. Like our first day, he was like, oh, come to mass and then we'll go on a picnic. First off, I probably shouldn't have agreed to that right off the bat, but I was trying to show him that I was willing to explore like his interests, and all his interests involve around that church. So but then, like on the last date, it was like, pray the rosary with me. He asked me to pray the rosary with him. I think that's too far for somebody I barely know, and I'm not Catholic. So, and then on top of that, something really awful happened in that community where there was custodian at the church. So there's a church and then a school, an elementary school. Well, one of the custodians a couple months ago was found to have been producing child pornography with children from that school, children who were between the ages of 3 and 6 years of age. It disgusted me. I was fully disgusted. What was worse was that the priests of that community didn't address it. I was there for that. I was going to those masses. It was not talked about at all, and they still had picnics at that school. Of course, the custodian, once that was found out, was arrested and gone from that community. But to not address it, to not talk about it, and then meanwhile all the priest does is point at you and tell you that you need to repent and that we're all sinners. Like, why is there such a focus on that? I don't agree with that. So I was really disgusted by that. And so, yeah, like, I can't be part of that community. I can't do it. Like, I just can't. It's not a good community, in my opinion. And it's not a safe place to be. So you can pretend it's safe, but it's not. And so, where am I going with this? Okay. Oh God, I'm going into such dark stuff. And I was supposed to be telling you something good. Okay, so like it's insane. It's insane. Like, it's insane to be like, come on a first date with me to a mass. And then like he kept pushing everything to do with church, trying to make me more Catholic. No. This guy was wife hunting, which is fine, but I'm not the right person, clearly. And, he would never accept me. And I felt that, like, if he knew the true me, he's not going to accept me. So I tried to show him, like, bits of me and to, like, let him know, hey, like, this isn't working out, right? We're not a good match. And he just kind of ignored, like, that's one thing I didn't like about this guy, was that when I'd say things to him, it's like, it's as if I didn't say anything at all. Like, he just ignore and continue on talking about what he wanted to talk about. And anyways, so fast forward to a couple days ago. So it'd been a few months since I'd seen this guy and told him that I didn't want to date him. And then he walked over to me. He's like, oh, I see you just can't stay away. I didn't even know what to say. I just laughed awkwardly. But then I told my friend, and she laughed. She howled. She was like, whoa. Like, she just really laughed. And she's like, that is hilarious. And I do think that was his response to seeing me showing back up at that church. like, and I could see the hope in his eyes that, like, I had turned away. And I'm now choosing to come back to church. And it's like, no, you're not listening to me, And, to be honest, no amount of praying to God is going to, you can't convert somebody by praying like, people do this where they'll be like, let this person come to church, let them find their way back to church. There's no amount of praying that will get me to go and join that church. So that guy doesn't understand me very well. But I just thought that was really funny. It's like the way he said it, like, well, I see you just can't stay away. I was like, I'm here because I want to hang out with my friend. That's the truth. And also because I was curious about communities and trying to learn about them. But that's a community I can't join. Yeah. So yeah, I don't understand. Like, the main takeaway of this is that I just don't understand my value as, like, a wife. I'm not married, but, like, is it just the sex? Like, is that just it? Or is it, like, you want to be cuddled and nurtured? Because I really do like a good cuddle. I'm not to get sexual. I don't want that. Like, I just, like, with this YouTube channel, I'm just merely talking about, like, what is the value that men get from women, because I understand the value that I get from a man. Like, I feel safer, and initially, like, partnering up with a person and sharing your life with a person is going to be beneficial to both of us, because you don't have to go it alone. When bad things happen, you have somebody that you can talk to about these things. I can't talk to my friends about these things. I can't even talk to my friends about Marley dying. Like, Whether it's because I made bad friends or because our society is fucked up and warped and like we can't talk about anything real with one another. So surface level. And then a lot of people just numb themselves. They just numb themselves. There's alcohol and drugs, but there is TV. And a lot of my friends spend all of their time flipping through their phones, and that's all they do. So it's just a way to zombify yourself. I can't reach you there. Like, I just don't feel like my needs are being met. And I'm trying to figure out how to meet my own needs because I think that's like the right approach. And I don't want anyone, God forbid, I really don't want anyone to tell me, oh, in order to find the right partner, you just need to do your own thing and completely forget about it. Like, I've been doing that for years, okay? I'm not going to deny that I'm not suffering and scared when bad things do happen and I have to face them alone. I'm not saying that to make anyone feel guilty for not being there for me, okay? If you're not there for me, it's because you can't. And I accept that. So I just don't want to suffer anymore, and I don't know how to solve these problems. And sometimes it just seems like I don't know, maybe I don't see myself walking away from not wanting a child. And I don't see myself walking away from wanting a family where I can build a family unit that I have people I can actually talk to, who can actually know me. I want to be known. And I want to get to know other people too. Because I feel lonely in this world of isolation. And it's getting scary out there at times. Maybe everything will work out. I hope it does. I hope things improve. I hope that we find good leaders who have good solutions that work to the practical problems that we have, like recession. But like, my biggest problem, I think, in my day-to-day life is that I don't like my job. I find it very draining. I find it depresses me. I've tried to change my thoughts around this. It's helped a little bit, but it also kind of feels like I'm making myself a zombie, even just by forcing myself to be like, well, this is the good parts and this is the bad parts. Ooh, loud thunder. I don't know what that meant. Is that a response to what I'm saying? Universe. I just really want a hug. Anyways, I don't know when I'll ever make a happy video again because I don't feel happy. And I don't think anything in this week is going to change that. Like, in order for me to get into like a nicer headspace, I need to do things that are going to bring about a little bit more peace and calm so that I can feel safer in my body and in my house and in my city and country. And so like, going out and talking to people that I actually connect with, like a librarian, or going to an art gallery. You know what? I should go to an art gallery and just look at the art. I think that will help me to improve my mood. I enjoy that. That's what I'm going to do to kind of get me out of this funk, because I am once again slid back into a funk. Yeah. And I watched that movie. I don't know if I already mentioned it in this video, but last thing here. I watched that movie, What a Woman Is. It made me feel incredibly sad. I am scared for us. I'm glad that there are people like, I don't know if I agree, like, you know, any ideology can be dangerous, right? And I don't know if Jordan Peterson really can be considered an ideology, but he definitely, everything he says, when you just look at what he's saying and listen to it, I agree with. It makes sense. I think he's a high TI user. Anyways, it doesn't matter. He is somebody who I think is more of like on the, okay, so like, if this is society, right, we want to balance it, right? So he's on the side where he's really helping to bring about more balance, I think. I wouldn't just label him like that and just follow everything arbitrarily that he says. That's dangerous, no matter who it is. including myself. Well, me to me, not so much, but I mean, viewer to me. If you just adopt everything I say, that's dangerous. Yeah, mindfulness is key. Mindfulness is key right now. Being mindful about what you adopt and think about. But I am grateful for Jordan Peterson. I think he is a force that is bringing about more balance where we really need it. In midwifery, you know, walking in there, you couldn't say, like, you can't say that, like, you can't speak authentically if you don't agree with the ideology that is put out, which really prioritizes minority needs over majority needs, which honestly, at the bottom line, doesn't make sense. Like, if you have like a bell curve of women, right, where it's like most women are biologically born as women, but you only cater to the needs of the people who if we're going to say that anyone who identifies as a woman is a woman, fine, okay, let's just go with that just for the sake of this, right? Well, then there's a bell curve. There's a bell curve where most women who identify as women were born as biological women, right? So if you only cater to the needs of the people who live on the margins, now you have a huge portion of people who aren't having their needs met. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Everyone's needs need to be met. Okay? So you don't sacrifice the needs of the majority for the needs of the minority. You do something to make sure both needs are met. Yeah. Like, so to bring it down to a concrete example, I remember when I was in university, gender fluid washrooms became a thing. Okay, so the truth is, women who have been, especially women who have been sexually assaulted, which they're not going to disclose that to you necessarily. Okay, so they need a safe place to go to the washroom where they can feel safe. Okay, has it happened where women have been raped in washrooms? Yes. Okay, so they need to have a washroom that is for them. However, is it also a need that a trans person has a washroom where they feel safe as well? Because has it happened where they go into a male washroom and are severely bullied by males in that washroom because they don't fit the male persona or whatever? Yeah, of course, that's happened too. So basically, we need to meet the needs of all three groups. Like, well, even saying that probably would get some backlash, but anyways, you need to meet the needs of all the people. You don't sacrifice the needs of the majority for the needs of the minorities. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? So I hope that that point can be understood. I'm not transphobic. I'm realistic about this. And I think what they did do in a lot of the buildings was have 3 different washroom designations: female, male, gender fluid washrooms. So like providing, and honestly, the solution moving forward when you build new buildings is have one stall washrooms so anyone can use them, but only one person at a time. Just have several of them. Yeah, it's going to take up more space, but that's a good solution to that problem of the washrooms. Is there is no male, female, or non-binary or whatever washrooms. There are everyone uses the same washroom, but it's a one stall washroom. There, that's easy. That's how you solve that. Okay, but obviously when it comes to trans rights, that's more than just washrooms. But yeah, my main point in this video, just to recap, is I don't understand my value as a future wife to somebody, right? Because I don't know, I don't feel like, maybe that comes from the society not valuing women in general. But yeah, so that's there. And I mean, and then looking at how the other women treated me, like in midwifery, they treated me really badly. Really, really, really badly. So it's like, you know, you can be like, oh, men, like I hate men. No, because like whether it was a man abusing me or a woman abusing me, I don't think it mattered. Like, I was being abused for, I don't know, for not being valued in society. So yeah. That, and then also the idea that sacrificing the needs of the majority for the needs of the minorities does not make sense and is not a good plan. And that we need to really work on sustainable living. As always, I think I'll always say that at some point, like in any video, I'm like, can we please have some sustainable living? Like, please. I pray to God. I wore that necklace. Where's my necklace? I wore that necklace so much. And I just, like, the magic has not come through for me. I said I was a witch. There's some truth to that. Like, I'm not really a witch like in the like Wingardium Leviosa, not really like that. I'm not like Salem witches either. More like, you know, I've dabbled in the spiritual realms and I've had encounters with other spirits, and so that aren't humans and human bodies. So I'm communicating with the universe heavily. But still, like, I will say one last point about this. One thing I've noticed about myself is I had like this very like parent-child relationship like for a long time with my parents, which makes sense, right? And that to some degree doesn't go away. But like when I almost got expelled from midwifery, I became a nanny, right? When I stuck around for being a nanny for a significant amount of time, and I was definitely getting scared, like, and I'm like, well, who's going to take care of me? And like, why aren't my parents taking care of me? And then it slowly dawned on me that I'm responsible for taking care of myself. And if I want to go back into engineering, that's going to be on me, nobody else. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not a child anymore. Like, my parents can't tell me what to do. And like, I just was like, oh, like I was doing things out of the motivation of like what I thought my parents would want, like from like more of a child perspective. And then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not quite helpful in this situation anymore. And then the same thing happened with me and spirituality. Like, oh, like what do the spirits want from me? Oh, am I good enough? Like if I act in the right ways, they're going to reward me. And I'm like, it's like the parent-child dynamic again, except that that's not quite what's happening. And I'm kind of like, oh crap. Like I talk about self-agency. I think things that I talk about are like, oh, like, cause like I need them, or like, it's like a development point for me. So yeah, when it comes to like your spirit guides and that kind of stuff, it's not like God isn't like looking out to punish you and like testing you. It's more just like they're supporting you in your own development, which is kind of mostly like probably 100% up to you. So that's kind of a scary realization and a scary maturation point to kind of come to. I find it terrifying because it's like, oh, I'm the last line of defense for myself here. Yeah, that's terrifying for me. I'm like, you know, when you're a child, you know your parents are going to, at bottom line, solve your problems, so you don't really have to worry. But when they're gone, or when you get older, like true independence, it's like, oh, you are the one that's there for yourself. Okay. If you do watch these videos, I mean, maybe I'm really crazy, I don't know how I feel, but if you do watch these videos, I just hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay, even though I say that I'm struggling. I mean, I'm struggling to find my peace, and I'm struggling to find my center sometimes. But like maybe sometimes YouTube is like a dumping ground for my negative emotions. Maybe I'm not sure. Like it's hard for me to, like right now, given the context of the world and like where my thoughts are at, it makes sense that my content is sad and I'm showing a more sad version of me. I'm not always sad. I want to make that point really clear because I get really annoyed when people say like Nicole is always sad. And the truth is that it's harder for me to capture my happiness because innately I don't necessarily go to people when I'm happy and singing and dancing. And it also, so like I'm not as off balance as maybe this is. And especially like also from like the legacy perspective of this project, I'm not as off balance. Well, I worry about my own balance sometimes, but, and how grounded I am. But well, that's my responsibility, so I'm taking care of it. But it's harder to capture the happiness sometimes. It really is, given the context of this world right now. Okay. Peace out, Girl Scout. Talk to you later.